Hey Scorpio, welcome to your 2022 12-month forecast. This is going to be for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, and I'm also going to include Venus just because it's a forecast for the whole year. I'm open to whatever wants to come in. I'm not focusing on love. I'm just open to whatever messages are coming in, but I'm leaving the door open for it, shall we say. So this is going to be for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. See what we have coming up here. I'm going to pull one card for each month, and I'm going to pull the cards 4 months at a time. So please show us January. Please show us February. Please show us March. Please show us April. So for January, we have Judgment. February, we have the Knight of Cups. March, we have the Five of Cups. And April, we have the Four of Pentacles. Okay. So, the Judgment card is a major arcana card. Anytime the major arcana cards come in, it's because we're at a significant crossroads, a significant new chapter in our life. Typically, we have a lot of wiggle room in life, right? We have a lot of things that we're able to manifest and create and call in. But for me, the major arcana cards are just basically the times or the moments that are something we're scheduled to experience, right? We have a lot of wiggle room, but then there's these little things that we're supposed to learn or accomplish. And when I see the major arcana cards, it's telling me it's one of those times or one of those situations. Now, the good news is, since you're here to experience it, you really can't fail as long as you keep moving forward. Your angels and guides are going to be with you. They're going to be helping you through whatever the crossroads is, whatever the shift is. The Judgment card has to do with big life decisions and can sometimes come up when we are feeling cold in a certain direction, or we're feeling like we want to answer a calling. We're feeling pulled to do something. In a relationship, for me, in my readings, I've seen a lot of the times the Judgment card can come up, and it doesn't have to be romantic. It could be any relationship. But when I'm reading between two people, or you're just like kind of in a situation right now where you're feeling like your plans are kind of dependent on what's happening with this other person or other situation, again, it doesn't have to be romantic. The Judgment card tells me that you might be trying to pull this person up. Like you're trying to help them. You're trying to be there for them. You might see them as somebody who is not yet quite awake or has a lot of healing to do, and you feel like you want to pull them up to where you're at. You're like, I'm going to help them. I'm going to raise the vibration. I'm going to bring them up to this vibration. The Judgment card tells me it's the opposite is going to happen. No matter how much you might be trying to lift the vibration or raise the vibration and give them this space to raise their vibration, they're going to pull you down to their level. And you're going to have to sooner or later make a decision. Am I going to be here for this person or situation and allow it to continue to pull me on this different path? Or am I going to keep going where I was headed? Am I going to stay on the road that I was on, or the path or the journey that I was on? Or am I going to leave this situation and go and answer this calling? I feel some of you Scorpios, this is not going to be for all of you, obviously, but I feel like some of you Scorpios have been really feeling pulled or guided to do something in terms of like spirituality, like energy healing, spiritual healing, life coaching, mentoring, or some kind of like maybe even counseling or psychology. Maybe some of you are like, you know what, I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to be a psychologist or a therapist or whatever it might be. But then you're telling yourself, well, I can't because I can't fix the people in my life. Maybe you have adult kids. You're like, well, my kid is like this, and my kid has this issue and that issue. Or, you know, my spouse has this issue, or my family has this issue, and I can't seem to heal them, and I can't seem to fix them. But then I really want to go onto this path of being a healer. And so you might be feeling very conflicted or very torn. Those of you who are finding yourself in this situation, look, you have to understand something. The word healer is a tricky word because it implies that the healer does the healing, and that's not true. That's not true. What the healer does is create space. What the healer does is help the person make the connection, right? In a spiritual sense, spiritual healing, the healer creates space for the individual to connect with higher power, God, universe, and do the healing. The healer is more of a facilitator. The healer is more kind of laying out the energy and bringing in the tools for this person to connect and to accept the healing. Even if you're looking at it clinically or like medically, right? If a psychologist is working with somebody, it's up to that person, it's up to that client or that patient to do the work, right? The psychologist might say, well, you know what? I think that you need to practice doing this, or I think it would be a good idea for you to do this or to do that. It's up to the patient, it's up to the client to follow through on that. The psychologist can't heal the person, okay? Or, you get what I'm saying. So I feel like some of you need to stop judging yourself or not believing in yourself because of the people around you. You can't control what the people around you do. You have no control over that, right? It's like that old saying goes, the old expression, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So it's the same with healing. And again, this is a general reading that's not going to be for every single one of you. But I feel like some of you or a lot of you might be struggling with that. Like, I want to help people, I want to influence people, but like, look at the people in my life. Well, that's the whole thing. You were like that before too, but you're coming out of it. You're raising up out of that vibration. So you're the perfect person to help other people who are in that vibration learn how to get out of it. Now, when we come into February, we have the Knight of Cups. And the Knight of Cups, I know a lot of people watch tarot for love and romance, and so our poor Knight of Cups gets typecast here as a player, as a Don Juan, and that might be happening for some of you. Now, I'm going to be very honest. Don't get mad at me, Scorpio, but I feel some of you might be stepping into the Knight of Cups energy romantically, in terms of like not wanting to take things too seriously. Like, you just kind of want to see what's out there. Some of you maybe are like, you know what, I've got this habit of like, being single a long time, and then I'll end up with somebody and it'll get really serious, right? And so some of you might be like, I just kind of want to see what's out there. I want to keep my options open. Some of you maybe after a long period of being single are putting yourselves out there again and just kind of wanting to see what's out there and not be super serious in the beginning. But a deeper meaning of the Knight of Cups, is the pursuit of adventure, the pursuit of beauty, the pursuit of the things that make the heart smile. And so as you guys are coming into this judgment, as you're coming into this awakening, the Knight of Cups to me makes me feel like in February, you're going on this quest with optimism. You're just trying to figure out what is out there. Some of you maybe are trying to reinvent yourself and you're wanting to do something in terms of career change. I'm going to be super honest with you. What these 4 cards are giving me a sense or a feeling is some of you might be feeling like you're waking up and you're realizing that there's a lot more to life, and you might be wanting to do something more purposeful, or you may feel as though Spirit is leading you or calling you to make some kind of a career change. And in February, you're optimistic about it. You're like, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to do it. But as we come into March, some of you are having some disappointments. It's not going the way that you had thought. It doesn't mean that it's bad, because one of the meanings of 5 of Cups is you're not looking at the positive. You're focusing on what didn't go how you had hoped or how you had planned. 5 of Cups can mean that the situation is not all bad, but we're focusing on the disappointment. We're focusing on the loss, or we're focusing on the things that didn't go the way that we had hoped or the way that we had planned, instead of focusing on what we do have, right? Also, he's sad about these 3 cups that are tipped over, but he can pick them back up again and he can fill them with whatever he wants. So I feel like a lot of you are starting this quest in the beginning of the year, right? This journey, this quest, making this big change. And as we're coming into the situation, we might be feeling a little bit frustrated. We might be feeling a little bit like it's not going the way that I had hoped. It's not going the way that I had planned. And we might be a little bit worried about, what's going to happen, how things are going to progress, where they're going to go. And this isn't how I had wanted it to happen. And this is potential now here where we might start going down this anxious thought, this anxiety, coming into the 4 of Pentacles here. 4 of Pentacles is now we're worried about money, we're worried about finances, we might be, worried about taking steps, taking action, and we're concerned about the financial future. So some of you might be feeling like you're wanting to answer a calling, and you're like, oh, but this is my purpose, and you're taking it in terms of career, right? Like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. So you might be making a career change. You might be starting a business of some kind because you're feeling led or called to do this. But when things aren't going as quickly as you want them to, or things aren't aligning as perfectly as you want them to, some of you are coming into this fear energy. You're coming into this fear energy and this worry. You're worrying about finances. You're worrying about the future. There's going to also be a lot of economical changes and shifting happening in 2022. I've said this in the other readings. It's going to be a really good idea to, kind of look and see what the financial experts have to say, because they've been giving us a lot of interesting financial forecasting of how the economy is being affected and where things are headed. And so this is not just for the United States where I am, right? We have a global economy now. We're living in a time where, countries are doing business with each other. And so it's all interconnected. And so some of you might be feeling very frustrated or very discouraged. I'm trying to do this goal, or I'm trying to make this career change, or I'm trying to start this business, but you might be discouraged by the economical situation. 4 of Pentacles can let us know that we're going to be okay if we are cautious with our spending. Some of you are doing okay, but because of the way things are going, you might be having people coming to you and asking you for money or asking you for help, and you might be feeling really bad in April, to have to say no to people, right? To have to say, no, I'm sorry, I can't help you out, or I can't be there for you. The 5 of Cups for some of you is frustration in terms of having to budget. Maybe in 2021 you had a really good year, Scorpio. Maybe you had a really great year financially, but now because of the economic changes and things that are happening, you're not necessarily struggling, but you're oh, I got to be cautious. I got to be careful, right? It's not like I have this, money tree in the backyard anymore. I need to be careful with what's coming in. I need to be careful with what I'm doing with it. And some of you might be feeling disappointment around that. Some of you might put yourself out there in terms of dating in the early part of the year, and then by April, you're nope, just kidding. I thought I wanted to put myself out there, but no, I'm not interested. I feel there's this sense of feeling a little bit put off, and you might be wanting to take back your body. You might be coming into a time, some of you, of deliberate celibacy, right? You're just very deliberately reclaiming my body, reclaiming my space. I feel some of you may have come into a space, you may have moved in 2021, and you may have moved with this thought of like, well, I'm going to entertain and I'm going to have a lot of people over. And you might kind of start the beginning part of the year like wanting to do this. But I feel by April, you're like, nope, I want my own space. Like, you're being very cautious who you're letting into your space. And for some of you, it could be because of financial situations. Like, you might not be hurting as bad. You might not be struggling as bad. And you might be like, well, I don't want people coming over here and be like, oh, well, you got all this stuff and you got all these nice things and you got all this, you got this and you got that. And then they're going to be coming at me like with their hands out. So some of you might be very cautious about who you're allowing in your space, either because, you know, you feel like they're going to think you have more than you actually do. Or you just kind of want that space. You just want your physical space, and you're being very cautious who you're sharing that physical space with. We're going to look at the next 4 months. Let's look at May. Let's look at June. Let's look at July. Let's look at August. So May, we have the Justice card. June, we have the Five of Wands. July, we have the Tower. Scorpio's like, oh boy, life of a Scorpio. And August, we have the Queen of Swords. I have to kind of chuckle here. Now, as we're coming into May, we have the Justice card, another major arcana card. So a significant chapter, something we came here to experience, something we came here to master. Some of you could be dealing with a Libra. If you have a Libra placement, there can be really big changes and really big shifts happening for you in that area of your life or in those houses. And so you might be going through this big change or this big shift internally in certain areas of your life. The Justice card, what's really interesting to me, I'll tell you why. The card directly behind the Justice card right now, your card for January, was Judgment. And now we have Justice. And so whatever this decision is, I feel like your resolve for it might be getting tested when we come into May. Like, you made this decision, and now it's like, now we have this decision energy again. The Justice card is about making the right decision, making fair and balanced decisions. It's about incorporating the head and the heart, right? Some of you are like, what am I doing here? Like, am I being stupid? Am I being silly? Like, I came into this year starting with this goal or starting this quest. Is it really what I want to do? But the fact that the Justice card is coming up makes me feel like Spirit is letting you know or giving you confirmation that this is what you're being led to do. This is what you're being called to do. Because when we have the Justice card, the major arcana cards coming up, we are being led. We are being guided. So what you're going to have to master in the month of May, Scorpio, is balancing the head and the heart. Some of you are like, I don't know what to do. I want to be successful. I want to do the logical thing, but then I'm worried that I'm going to be miserable. I want to follow my heart and live a life of joy, but I'm scared that I'm going to get burned. I don't know which one to do. That's exactly what the Justice card is about. It's about bringing the two together. You're going to listen to your heart, but you're going to bring your mind into it and ask your mind, okay, how can I set myself up to succeed? What are steps that I can take to make this happen? You don't have to choose one or the other, right? You don't have to choose between being a very logical person and playing it safe and being this, big dreamer. You can follow the dreams, but you're going to do it in a logical way. You're not going to be like the fool where you're jumping off the cliff and landing on your head. You're going to look before you leap. You're going to plan it. You're going to plan the process. And so as we're coming into May, a lot of you might be coming into thinking or putting together some kind of a strategy. With the Justice card, there can also at times be situations in terms of boundaries, like standing up for yourself. It is a card that has to do with contracts and agreement. Some of you might be offered a contract or agreement. Traditionally, the Justice card can have to do with court proceedings or court situations. And so if you have something happening legally, particularly like some financial settlement or something, or you're waiting on some mediation to come through or an agreement to be reached or a case to wrap up, that could be happening in May. One more thing about the Justice card and we will move on. I have seen it come up sometimes in situations where you're being encouraged or you're being called to stand up for yourself or to enforce your legal rights. So there could be something unfair happening in a work situation. Maybe there's some kind of discrimination that's occurring, or maybe they're having you work in unsafe conditions, or they're using unethical tactics to try to like keep you and other employees in line. Some of you might be finding yourself where like typically you might not want to do that. You might be feeling like this isn't right. Like, you know, maybe before you would have been like, I'll just leave, right? I'll just find another job, or I'll just find another, you know, situation. Or maybe it could be like a landlord-tenant kind of situation. Maybe you're like, you know what? I keep paying my rent, but, you know, they're leaving me with rats running around. They're leaving me with infestations. I keep asking them to take care of it. They're not. You know, they don't have, like, utilities that I'm, you know, like I should have by law, right? Like, maybe there's just, you know, issues with water, running water, or things like that. And you're like, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And maybe before you would have been like, I'll just move, I'll just get out of here. But some of you might feel like, no, I want my rent back. I want the money back, or I'm not going to pay rent until this is fixed. And some of you might be going to a lawyer to figure out what are your rights, right? If you are in a living situation and you're feeling like you want to withhold your rent, I can tell you have to be very careful about that, because different states have different laws. You can't just say, well, you know what? I'm not paying rent until you fix this. Some states are like, well, you have to pay a certain percentage, or you can't do that without first, you know, giving them this notice or that notice. So you're going to want to make sure that you go to a lawyer and find out what your rights are, just so that you can stand up for yourself, but do it also in a way where like you're going about the procedures and you're keeping yourself protected. So the next card here is the Five of Wands. So some of you are deciding to fight. You are deciding to take something up. And it can be a legal situation for some of you. For other ones of you, it could be a matter of like, you know, respect or fairness, or, you know, being taken seriously, being seen or treated as an equal. Those of you who are very focused on career and very focused on self-employment, you know, June would be a good month for you, because the Five of Wands can indicate competition. Like you're in the game, you're being seen, you're being noticed, you're being celebrated. And so, like celebrated in terms of like recognized. And so you might have other people that are seeing you as a threat now. They're like, oh, look at this, you know, Scorpio's coming up. People are noticing Scorpio. Scorpio is starting to get attention. Scorpio is starting to get business. Scorpio is starting to get assignments or recognition or whatever it might be. And so now it's like you're in the running, right? People are seeing you in terms of competition, and they're taking you very seriously. So Five of Wands in terms of business, self-employment can be a very positive thing. I will say one more thing here with the Justice card and the Five of Wands. Those of you who have a situation here in terms of a contract that's being offered to you, maybe having to be like going back and forth about a contract. Like you're fighting for certain things. You're fighting for certain rights or certain provisions to be made. This is not in terms of like a court case or a court settlement. I mean, like you might have a job offer, or you might have, if you're doing something very creative, right? You might have like an offer, like you might get a book deal, or you may get an offer to like do an album or something, a contract to have your own album or something like that, or to be a spokesperson or a representative of some kind. You may be offered a program like a TV show, a talk show, a radio show, a national like podcast or something, you know. And so you might be like excited about this offer or this contract, but there may be things in it that you kind of have to fight for. If I'm not mistaken, I feel like Libra had a very similar energy, which is interesting because we have the Justice card too. So this could especially be true for those of you who have Libra placements. You might have a big offer coming in, and you're having to read the fine print, and there may be certain things that you're negotiating, or you're standing up, or you're fighting for it. Okay? And I gave this example in the other reading where it came up. And guys, don't get mad at me. I understand there's controversy. I understand people have, different feelings about the issue. I'm not putting anybody on a pedestal. I'm not putting anybody above another person. But I just gave the example about how I one time heard Dave Chappelle telling his story about how when he walked away from the Chappelle show, and years later, it's still affecting him because he didn't realize as a kid, as a young person, getting offered this massive contract. I mean, who wouldn't sign? They offered him so much money. And then he finds out when he wants to walk away that he can't even use the name Dave Chappelle. He didn't own the rights to anything. So he wasn't entitled to any kind of royalties when they were playing his show on Netflix or on any of the streaming services. He didn't get a cut of any of that. If he wanted to do something else, he couldn't use the name Dave Chappelle. It couldn't be, the new Dave Chappelle show or Dave Chappelle Comedy Hour or like whatever. He could not use his own name. So when he signed that contract, he signed his name away. So it could be something like that where you're having to pay attention, where you're like, well, you know what? Even though I might be contributing my creativity, I still have ownership, right? I'm not going to do it for you guys, and then you guys are going to take it and, use it or broadcast it somewhere else, and I'm not going to get a cut of it. Like, that's not going to work. Or if I walk away, I get to keep the name of this persona or the name of this business, or whatever it might be. So you might be having to fight for certain provisions in a contract or an agreement for some of you. As we're coming into July, we have the Tower card here. And the Tower card can be massive shifting, massive changing. Like our life is changing forever. It's never going to be the same again. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. The Tower card has lots to do with paradigm shift, awakening, being pushed out of our comfort zone. Okay. And so this could be really positive things like landing a dream job or reaching a certain level in your career or becoming self-employed or, moving, relocating, falling in love, having a child for the first time. It could be any big life-changing event where our life is never going to be the same again. For those of you feeling stuck in a situation, the Tower comes in to liberate you, to free you, right? It's an act of love. It's not punishment from the universe. It's an act of love. Now, I know a lot of people get super nervous when it comes to the Tower, so I'm going to pull some clarifiers here, but I'm going to pull it from a different deck and see why do we have the Tower coming in here for Scorpio. Let's get a little bit more clarity on this. Please show us clarifier 1. Please show us clarifier 2. Please show us clarifier 3. So clarifier 1. Oh gosh, we have the Two of Swords. I had to chuckle because those of you who watch my readings, you've heard me say that the Two of Swords is a warning for me that there's going to be a Tower moment. Like, we have to pay attention to the writing on the wall. Spirit is showing us signs that it might be time to leave a situation, or to, start preparing ourselves for some big change. And if we keep ignoring it and procrastinating it, then Spirit will move us on. So those of you who might be like, well, I kind of feel guided or called to make this change, and I kind of feel guided or called to go into this field, or to start this business. If you've been ignoring it all year, well, then, my dear and my darling, coming into July, Spirit might be pushing you off the diving board, that it's time. We can't wait anymore. We can't delay anymore. You've been guided to do this, and so now we are removing from your life whatever it is that is keeping you trapped or scared or afraid. So now you don't have any reason not to move forward. Now you don't have any reason not to do it. So it, it could be, job situation. It could be a relationship. But again, I feel like the writing would be on the wall. The signs would be there. If it's a job situation, I don't feel like you're getting fired or you're getting let go. I feel like it might be where, like, that place is not going to be in business anymore. Like, everybody's losing their job. Everybody's, So pay attention to the writing on the wall. If you're going into 2022 and the work situation seems a little bit unstable, don't just expect that, oh, well, they're going to turn it around and they're going to figure it out. Some of you could be working at a place that's going to flat out go out of business. And then you're like, okay, well, I guess I'll start on that, business idea, or I guess I'll start on that, self-employment, or I guess I'll start on that, picking up those skills or those interests to make that career change. Don't wait until the last minute. If you can get started on it ahead of time, then you don't have to have the shock of the Tower moment. The next card coming up here is the Three of Cups. And the next clarifier here is the Devil. Okay? Some of you might be getting pulled into out of nowhere, like a sudden engagement, a sudden like a relationship that moves very quickly, very fast. With the Devil card here, maybe you're getting involved with a Capricorn. Okay? However, it can also indicate that maybe some of you are making this decision based on lust, or based on a very strong karmic connection with someone where you have really, really intense soul chemistry. It doesn't have to be a bad thing if both of you are mature, and both of you are awake, and both of you have the right attitude going into it. But for some of you, this could be someone that maybe is not spiritual at all. This is a very interesting message. I feel some of you, this contract that's coming in is also coming in with somebody who is approaching you romantically. So maybe you're getting a contract and you're working with a network, or there's like a business manager coming in, or a promoter or somebody coming in, and this person might be taking a romantic interest in you. They might be really kind of turning you on and getting you really hot and bothered, and they might have their sights set on you, right? And you might feel like, this is it, I'm going to get serious with this person, we're getting engaged, we're going to be together. But this could also be someone who's a little jealous and a little possessive, right? So you might not see that about this person, that they might be a little bit jealous, they might be a little bit possessive. There could be cross watchers watching this and saying, no, Scorpio is the one who's jealous. Scorpio is the one that's possessive. It could be a mutual thing for some of you. It could be a relationship where you need to be cautious. Maybe the attraction is so intense, the connection is so intense that, maybe it does bring up jealousy. Maybe it does bring up passions. As I said, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. This is a relationship that can work. However, what you need to be aware of, there might be some possessiveness. There might be some jealousy. Going back to the thing with the Justice card and being careful with the contract, this could be someone that also really sees your potential and the success that you're about to come into, and they're wanting to lock you down. Like, you're going to be mine. You're going to be mine, and, before you have a chance for a lot of other people to see you, before you have a chance to consider your other opportunities, I'm locking you down. They might be seeing you as a very charismatic person, a very bright star, and they just kind of want to call dibs on you before you even have the chance to be seen or to put yourself out there. So I will say this, some of you are going to have an opportunity for this very sudden relationship that might get very serious, that might be very intense. But the cards to me here are saying, give yourself permission to slow it down. There's going to be other options coming up for you as you're going into these new experiences. And, this person might see that and might be trying to hurry up and tie you down before you really have a chance to get out there or to even live. So just something to keep in mind. You guys might be hearing I rescued a very large dog, and he's very attached to me, and he's can be noisy sometimes, so I do apologize. You might be hearing noise in the background in the future, but he was abandoned once, so I'm not going to abandon him. But there he goes. He can be very loud. Oh, he's slipping. All right. So this is gonna be the clarifiers for the Tower. Now the next card here, interestingly enough, is the Queen of Swords, which is boundaries. One moment. So as I was saying, interestingly enough, our next card here is the Queen of Swords, which is about boundaries. So some of you could have a relationship coming in that you're like, this kind of came out of nowhere. This is moving too fast. It could be boundaries in terms of whatever this opportunity is, right? It could be somebody trying to tie you into a long-term work contract or business contract. And you might be like, look, I'm not trying to, sign away the next 10 years of my life. You might be kind of trying to take some steps back here. But the Queen of Swords is going to be boundaries. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. Queen of Swords can also come up when we're beginning to see the things that are slowing us down, the things that are getting in our way. And so we might be, cutting out certain distractions. We might be cutting out certain people that we're realizing are, taking too much of our time or draining us or disrespecting us in some way. And so there's this sense and this energy here of basically setting aside these boundaries. Sorry, my dog was distracting me. Another thing that can come up with the Queen of Swords here can be time management. Time management. So some of you maybe are going to be very busy and you might feel a little bit overwhelmed as we're coming into August. And what Spirit is recommending for you to do is to just kind of try to budget your time. You're going to be able to get to everything if you're budgeting your time. Another thing that I'm getting from the Queen of Swords here, I feel that those of you who are either a business owner or you started a business in 2022, or you may be in a position at work, or all of a sudden finding yourself in a position at work where you're having to let somebody go. You're like having to do some firing. I'm feeling that with the Queen of Swords as well. That there might be in terms of work or in a business agreement, you might be having to let somebody go or do something in terms of firing. If you were doing some kind of a partnership kind of situation in terms of creative projects, and this contract comes in, they may want to work with you, but they may not want to work with the person you've been collaborating with or working with until that point. That could be a situation for some of you as well. We're going to pull the next 4 cards. All right, let's see. September, October, November, and December. Okay, so for September, we have the 6 of Cups. October, the 5 of Swords. November, the 8 of Wands. December, the 8 of Cups. Okay. In terms of love or romance, and I feel this applies to you whether or not you are in an existing relationship, whether or not you are married or single, whether or not you are interested in love or not. I do feel very strongly that towards the end of the year, some of you are having an old love interest resurfacing from the past. I feel, however, that this is someone that you have said no to several times. Like you're like, I'm not interested, or I just don't think that we're right, or I don't feel that we're compatible. I feel like this is somebody who maybe kind of comes in and out from time to time, and you've already told this person like it's not going to happen, right, in so many words. I feel that this time around, however, like this is it. It's done. I do feel like you kind of have to prepare yourself that they might be blowing up on you a little bit. They might be going off on you a little bit because they're so upset, or they're so hurt, or they're so offended. But if this is what it takes, you know, to not have to be bothered by them anymore, just let them kind of spew out their hurt feelings, or they're feeling sad, or they're feeling rejected. Let them get it out of their system and just kind of be done with it. Like, just kind of let it go. Is going to be your best bet here, your best option. Some of you maybe want to like tell them off, or who do you think you're talking to that way, but I just kind of feel like this person needs that just to be done, like just to be done and just to move on. And I don't know if it's worth your time getting into a whole back and forth about it anyway. Just know that they're coming from a place of feeling hurt and feeling rejected. Some of you in September are going to have a situation here with a sibling where, again, I feel there's some sense of like setting down boundaries. Some of you may have a sibling coming to you and asking you a lot of questions, and this happened for some of the signs. So if you cross-watch for any of your siblings or cousins or family members and it came up in that reading, chances are it's going to happen for you in September in 2022, where you might have a sibling or family member come up to you and ask you a lot of questions because they might have some repressed memories coming up. They might be remembering things that they had buried that happened in childhood, and they might be coming to you and they're just like, you know, Scorpio, do you ever remember, you know, this person used to come over the house? Or do you ever remember there was a time where, you know, some people came and we got, you know, we had to go stay with relatives for a while? Like, they might be asking you a lot of questions like, do you remember this happening? Because to them it's confirmation of whatever they're remembering. They might also be giving you basically like information about specifically what they're remembering, some like certain childhood traumas. And for some of you, this could be something that you already knew, you were already aware of. Like, you might remember it, you might have had it come up yourself as a repressed memory. But I feel like you guys might be talking and kind of like validating each other's memories, validating each other's feelings. And this could also be a sibling or a family member where there's been tension in the past. Maybe there was like a competitiveness, or you just kind of felt like they were like, you know, kind of didn't have your best interest in mind. But there might be kind of a bonding over this situation and a bonding over these similar memories. So someone might be coming to you with some important things that they're going through, and just kind of trying to see if you remember what they remember. In the month of October, we have Five of Swords. Now, Five of Swords can be the burning of bridges, which Scorpios kind of have a reputation for, right? I'm a Scorpio, I can say that. Of like, you know, we might sting somebody, or when we're done, we're like done in a very big way. And we might be known as people who burn bridges. What a lot of people don't understand is it takes Scorpio a really long time to get there. Scorpio is not just going to willy-nilly going around stinging people for no reason or burning bridges for no reason. I think a lot of it sometimes is like when you're a very mature Scorpio, and when you like have your feelings in control, you might tell somebody, you might give them a warning, but because you're not yelling, because you're not shouting, because you're not being dramatic about it, you're not making a scene, you're not overly emotional, they don't take you seriously. But you told them very clearly, I don't like that, or I don't appreciate that, or I'm not okay with that. And just because you're not like saying it in an overly emotional way or shouting it, they think that they still have wiggle room. They think that they can keep pushing, okay? And some of you are like, oh my gosh, I can already, somebody's coming to my mind who's like that. And this could be the case for some of you. Now, you may be burning bridges with this person, where you've just really had enough and you're done. And you're just like, they don't understand. They didn't see it coming. They don't understand that you're as serious as you're serious. For other ones of you, the Five of Swords is coming up because you're dealing with a situation where somebody might be intentionally triggering you or trying to get inside your head. This is going to be especially true for those of you who are having success in business or in career. You might be having somebody who is like feeling like you're getting too big for yourself, or like they want to put you, they want to keep you in line, they want to knock you down a couple of pegs. Five of Swords for me sometimes can be someone who knows very well what your buttons are and how to push them. They know exactly what to say. They know exactly what to do to get you to do what they want you to do, right? So, for example, if your whole life your family complained that you were bossy, right? You might set a boundary with this person. You might stand up for yourself and say, I don't like it when you do this, or I don't like it when you do that, or it's not fair, it's not okay. There you go again, being bossy. Why are you so bossy, Scorpio? Why are you trying to boss me around? When really all you're trying to do is set a boundary and protect yourself. Now they know that you're insecure about being seen as bossy, and they call you bossy, and you're like, oh, well, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I am being bossy. Maybe I need to relax. They know exactly what to say to get you to do what they want you to do. This, though, I feel is coming to like a boiling point with you, where you can't, like, it's too much. You might not be showing it outwardly, you might not be losing your cool, but from inside you're like you're boiling, like you just it's making you very emotional. When this happens, step aside and journal about it. What happened? Who was involved? What did they say or do? How did it make me feel about myself? Who else in my life before, in my past, or in my childhood has made me feel this way? Why do I think that they did it? Release the person, forgive the person, release yourself, forgive yourself if you're blaming yourself, or you're, you know, feeling like you wished you would have handled it differently, or whatever it might be. Forgive yourself. And then write out how you're choosing to feel about the situation from now on moving forward. Write out how you're choosing to feel about yourself from now on moving forward. And so this is going to be a really positive chance for you to deactivate your triggers. When you do this, the trigger is going to be gone. They can call you bossy all day, every day. It's not going to have any effect on you. It's not going to mean anything to you. You're not going to care. So this is a chance in which you have a chance to like heal old wounds and deactivate old triggers and not have to deal with them anymore. In November, we have the 8 of Wands. And 8 of Wands can indicate travel, passion, adventure, communication, receiving good news. Okay? I do feel that whatever it is you're feeling unstuck, you're feeling very accomplished here with this 8 of Wands. Some of you are going to have an opportunity to travel, to take time off and travel. This is going to be especially true for those of you who did land this contract or this big kind of deal. You're going to have a time or a chance to travel, and I feel like you might be using it in a way where you're trying to find yourself or treating it as like a spiritual journey. You might be going to certain places that have spiritual significance for you. You might be going to places where you wonder, oh, I wonder if I have a past life connection. I've always been pulled to this culture, right? You might not have any of that DNA in your system. You might not have any of that ancestry. You may have never been to that country or that part of the world before, but something about it may have always pulled at you, where you've just always been like, man, you know, like I'm so fascinated with that culture or that country. And so some of you might be going as a way of just experiencing it and seeing how you feel on a soul level. Or some of you might be going to places that have spiritual significance to you, right? Whether it may be Jerusalem or Mecca or Stonehenge or whatever it is that has a spiritual pull or spiritual significance for you. Some of you are like, all of it. I'm going to all of it, right? So some of you might have this opportunity to travel, and I feel it's going to be significant travel in terms of like finding yourself and having these spiritual experiences. Your December here is the 8 of Cups. Now, some of you have heard me say that the 8 of Cups comes up for me in readings when you've accomplished your goals, but you're not feeling fulfilled. I see 8 of Cups come up a lot of the times for people who are overachievers. And they don't rest until they reach that goal. But the happiness and the accomplishment doesn't last very long. They're happy for a little bit, and then before they know it, you're in a situation where you're like, well, I'm glad I accomplished this, but it didn't make me feel the way I thought it was going to make me feel. I still feel like something is missing. So maybe I focused on the wrong thing. Maybe I needed to focus on something else. Maybe I needed to focus on my education, or maybe I need to focus on my love life, or maybe I'm going to be happier if I'm a parent and I have kids, or whatever it might be. All of a sudden, you're like, I focused maybe on the wrong thing, and so you set another goal for yourself. And happiness constantly becomes in the next goal. I'll be happy when I accomplish this. I'll be happy when I have this. A lot of the times, these kind of people are seen as overachievers or very successful. The problem is that happiness is always in the next thing. You never get there. You accomplish the goal, you're happy for a little bit, and you're like, yeah, something's still missing. Something's still missing, so I gotta go, you know, hit that next goal, and then I'll be happy. 8 of Cups, basically, we're searching for something that's missing in our life. And 8 of Cups lets us know that that is the spiritual connection. So, by the end of the year, by the end of 2022, 8 of Cups is telling me whatever you set out to accomplish, whatever your resolutions were, whatever your goals were, you're going to hit them. You're going to reach the goals. You're going to hit the resolutions. Some of you are going to have a chance to do something that you always dreamed of. You never thought it was possible. You thought it was like this far-fetched, over-the-top, dream or wish, and it's actually happening. And for some of you, that could be the traveling. Maybe you never dreamed that you could go to so many different places or to see a certain place. And you're like, I can't believe all of this happened. But then you're like, well, but now what? Now what do I do? Now what do I do with my life? I feel like some of you Scorpios are worried that you're not going to be able to top it. You're like, I don't know how, I don't know what else I could possibly do. Some of you are feeling as though you've literally reached the top of the mountain, and you're grateful for that the struggle is over, that you finally made it to the top. But there's also this fear, this existential dread, but now what? What's next? My whole life has been about getting to this point. Now I'm here. Now what do I do with myself? Is this it? Is this all that there is? Is this the prime? And am I just going to wait for things to go downhill from here? I feel some of you have that fear or that worry. But as I said, the Eight of Cups lets us know that the missing thing is a spiritual connection. So in order to reach our happiness, our joy, our fulfillment, we're going to always feel like something is missing until we have a solid spiritual connection. Once we have the spiritual connection, we're going to be able to enjoy the fruits of our labor. You worked so hard to get to the top of the mountain. Now that you're there, it's time to enjoy it. Take in the view. Enjoy being up there. Enjoy what it brings you. But we have a hard time enjoying when we have that spiritual void. So when I see Eight of Cups, Spirit is saying, your wish is coming true, and in order to be able to enjoy your hard work, and in order to be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor, you need to work on your spiritual connection. Once you have that spiritual connection, you're going to be able to really be satisfied with your accomplishments. So the next thing here, some of you might say, well, Amethyst, I'm a very spiritual person. I wake up every morning and I say my prayers. I meditate, or I do my yoga, or I light my candles and my incense, and I have, this or that. You might have all of these things that you have a spiritual routine. Oh, I have a spiritual routine, and I'm very, 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 very consistent with it. But that's the thing about spiritual routine. Okay, I don't care if your spiritual routine is, waking up in the morning and doing yoga and meditating, or if it's praying and reading the Bible or the Quran or whatever, holy book that you have. If we're doing something all the time, the same way, it can begin to lose its power. It's like somebody who says, I love you all the time. Or if I told you, 10 times a day, every single day, Scorpio, you're the best, you're the funniest, you're the most attractive, you are so smart, and I just keep giving you the same compliment again and again and again, 10 times a day, every single day. The first several times you're going to love it. It's going to be great. But after a while, it's going to lose its meaning because I'm saying it so much. I'm saying it all the time. Now, we need to freshen things up. The same way that in a marriage or in a friendship, we might try to, change things up once in a while, kind of keep things interesting. We have to do the same thing with our spiritual connection. That being said, I'm not telling you to stop doing your meditation or your yoga in the morning, or to stop praying or reading your Bible or Quran. I'm not telling you to stop doing that. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep being in that routine. But ask yourself, what are some other ways that I can connect with God? What are some other ways that I can connect with Spirit? And incorporate that. Maybe for some of you, it's spending time in nature. And that helps you to feel the awe and the power of the life force energy that's all around us. Maybe for some of you, it's, being near water or being in the water. I know water is very magical to me. No matter how old I get, I never get over the mystery of water. Like, just, I don't know, I connect with water so much, and maybe some of you do as well as Scorpios. But just whatever helps you to feel and sense like the power of creation, the power of God, the power of the universe, the beauty of it. Maybe for some of you it's through music and art, you know, whatever it is that gives you a sense of that peaceful Zen moment, okay? Being in this energy is going to help you tremendously to enjoy the fruits of your labor, to feel content with what you've accomplished, and to not feel as though like you have to constantly be reaching for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. I just heard Spirit say you are not lazy. For some of you, maybe you were pushed really hard when you were younger, and it's hard for you to like give yourself credit and rest and enjoy something because you feel like you need to keep busy. You feel like you need to be doing the next thing. And you don't have to. And I feel like this is a cycle or a pattern that a lot of you are going to get to break out of in 2022. You may want to check out your moon sign and rising sign videos, or your Venus sign even. Sometimes that might resonate more than your sun sign. If you would like a private or a personal 2022 12-month forecast, you can schedule at calendly.com/amethystangelite. I'm still offering my other readings as well, the standard readings that I offer all year. Those are also still available if you would like a personal reading. If anybody would like to check out the weekly forecasts, please make sure that you do that if you're new to the channel. Every single week I'll do a weekly forecast, and once a month I do a love video. So if you're new here, be sure to check those out as well. I thank you all for watching, liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Happy 2022, my dears.